my new ride, 2008 fz1s Phaser. Quite a few reasons why I got this bike over other newer bikes. This is the last, pretty much the last true biker's bike. All bikes after this have things that make it easier and safer to ride. They have ABS. This does not have ABS. They have traction control. This does not have traction control. Traction control basically puts the brakes on even if you don't touch the brakes. This has none of that. This just has two big fucking discs on the front and one disc on the back, which I haven't actually used the back one yet, but I use the front one quite a bit. It's about 150 horsepower. To put that into perspective, this is raw fucking power, which means when it came out the shop, it would do between 160 and 170 miles per hour. I got her last night, so I've only done about 250 miles so far. I'm on fairly crappy country lane type stuff, A roads and B roads, so the most I've had so far is 120 mph, and she had plenty more left over. It's nice to be able to actually lean her right the fuck over, not completely over because she's got a center stand. It's nicely snuck up out of the way, but it still does have a center stand. And yeah, considering the roads are fairly shit, it's not doing too bad. Okay, stats on the bike. I'm going to compare it to my last one, which was a 650 Bandit. It was a 2007. The Bandit was 235 kilograms. This is 199. And she feels a lot lighter. She feels more like a 125. Even though she's 1000cc. Her power band on like changing gears and stuff is a lot different to the Bandit. The Bandit you can change gear pretty much early in the RPMs. This one you can change lower, but you're more like 10,000 RPM for changing the revs. But yeah, she's still quite happy to toot along 30. Fuck off, you bastard noisy cows. But there's a goat as well. What are they doing? Interracial bestiality. Fuck off! Yeah, so far so good. Other stats. What have we got stats on this? Oh yeah. People don't seem to realise this, is that motorcycles have a max weight limit. This one, it's about 190 kilograms. So, about 30 stone in weight. Fuck knows what it is in pounds. I live in the 21st century. I don't know what the fuck Americans still using things like Fahrenheit and pounds. It really is a case of the American government dumbing down its population. Yeah, use pounds and ounces and shit like that. You know, Fahrenheit. What the fuck is this Fahrenheit? Anyhow. Yeah, modern bikers, the car drivers, will not like this bike. This is a biker's bike. You actually need skill to ride it. It's the same as the Bandit. You need skill to be able to ride it at speed. You can't just hop on it and just let the technology do it for you. The brakes on this are a fuckload better than brakes on modern bikes because they rely on the rider's reactions, not technology telling you when you can and cannot brake. So this is the reason why you can get a bike like this, 14 years old, 16,000 miles on the clock, genuine mileage. I checked the MOT online, and yeah, sweet as a nut. Yes, it has a factory immobilizer, which I didn't really want. But aside from a little garage mark here from some fucker's boot, probably, there's no scratches or fucking dinks. They could have been painted over if there were any, but everything looks original. Oh no, there's a little lump. Yeah, £4,000. What's really funny is that this bike is really common. 2007, 2008, all throughout the early noughties, like 2000 up till I think 2015, they were selling these bikes, and they were all pretty much the same standard race engine. It's an R1 engine at a different angle in an upper position. It is a race bike, a sports bike, without such an uncomfortable position. The thing I will say to you, they got these race pegs, yeah? They're designed so they fold up. Yeah, the problem with having these pegs is every now and again, every 15-20 miles, you've got to actually lift up your knees, otherwise your circulation gets cut off to your feet. I'm about 115, 120 kilos. Yes, I'm a fat bastard. And so that means I can still carry somebody on the back who weighs about 9-10 stone. 70 or 80 kilos. So, not my ex. Oh, hell no. She weighs more than I fucking do. But also, seating position is comfy. It's the first seat on a bike in 20 years since... I've been riding bikes for like nearly 40. But that is a comfy fucking seat. I just did about 150 miles. I went down to... not Aberystwyth. What the fuck's it called? Oh, down North Devon coast. I just followed the coast down. And yeah, 150 miles, country lanes, bendy roads, and my ass is not hurting. My feet are a little bit from those pegs. But you can always go and get yourself some insulation foam for pipe insulation from a DIY shop. Cut it down a fit, slot it on, job's done. But yeah, she's a fucking sweet bike. What nuts did I have written down about it? 998cc, 18-litre tank. Oh yeah, the tank. Yeah, according to the online stats, which are bollocks, quarter mile, 11 seconds. That is complete bullshit. Because I can count. And I did a half mile from a standing start in about 11 seconds. So I'm guessing we're talking 3 or 4 seconds to do a quarter mile. It's a rocket. Let's put it this way, you don't have to change gear to get to 60 miles an hour. You just do it in first. Now, the issue with getting used to a new bike is a new setup. Yeah, it does that every time. Now, you've got your usual, you only got the basics that you need for a bike. For me, the essentials are, you've got your speedo, you've got your RPM, which is the main thing you look at on a bike. Neutral indicator, there's no gear indicator. Who the fuck needs a gear indicator, for crying out loud? It's what you call vibrations, that's how you tell. And it's got engine temperature, which is handy, not essential. You've got your time, you've got your fuel gauge, which I'll get to in a minute. You've also got your trip, you've got your ODO, which is your total mileage altogether, which is now about 17,000, because I got 16,000 yesterday when I bought it. You've got 2 trips, and you've got an extra, just to confuse you. Now, when your fuel gauge gets down to fuck all, it starts to flash. Now, when it starts to flash, it goes into reserve. I did 120 miles on the main tank, which is not bad. According to the stats, it can do 160 on a tank. Now, I was panicking because I've been flooring the fuck out of it for about 120 mile, and the last 20, I was cruising very, very carefully because it was on empty. Then it started flashing. Then my clock reset itself, the trip, and started counting up. So what's happening is that when it starts flashing, that means it switched over to a reserve tank, which I've got no fucking idea how big it is because I don't know. But it cost me just over 20 quid to fill up, and the petrol was reasonably cheap. It's 30p cheaper a litre than it was a month ago. So it's not great on fuel economy compared to other bikes. We're probably talking, and this is English gallons, not American gallons, maybe 35 to 40 miles per gallon, because I'm riding it as it is meant to be ridden, not riding it at 3,000 RPM. I'm riding at 7,000 RPM. So yeah, a lot of bikes do at 60, 70 miles per gallon now, but if you want to be bored and safe, stay in your car. This bike, I don't know if she's still going to do 160 mph. I'm going to find out. I just need to find a road without so much fucking tractors on it and trucks on them. Quite a few tried killing me today, bastards. Nice thing about this bike though is that she does look like a new modern bike. That's what's really nice, because you look at her and you think, You know, it's got a modern styling, modern design. From the front, it looks a bit more like 10 years ago. But everything else, yeah, it's modern design, modern styling. You know, you got a nice two-piece seat, big ass grab handles, tail tidy, and yeah, she looks a fucking business. I had a quick go on the back seat whilst I was riding it, and yeah, that's definitely designed for her pleasure. There's a big fucking ridge right in the middle. I used to actually make seats specifically for that when I was doing bike tours. I put an extra on the top. Always got repeat business with the women, especially grannies. They loved it. Squatchy fuckers. So yeah, that is my new ride. Yamaha Phaser 1000cc, the sport version. 14 years old, barely fucking ridden. If you go online to the government website, you can actually check the MOT to see what the mileage was each year. She's never failed an MOT. She had an advisory on something like tyres were worn a bit thin. But aside from that, she's never been failed an MOT. And the mileage has been a couple of thousand miles a year. Some years, not even that. That's going to change. Oh, yes, because I ride, and I do fucking ride. My Bandit did an average of, I think, 700 miles a year before I bought it. I mean, the guy checked out the mileage online, and I think he was saying it did an average of 700 miles per year, my Bandit. And then I bought her, and I basically did, so I was doing an average of 7,000 or 8,000 miles a year. And that was during lockdown, so I couldn't do a lot. You know, just pure pleasure riding. So yeah, my new bag. And yeah, she instantly named herself. I sat a bit close to the tank when I first started her up. And so her name is Fizzy. Oh yeah. If you want to know why you're going to call it Fizz or Fizzy, look up James May and his Fizz. Mwahaha.